Hello everyone. So today let us talk about backups. And there was a question actually on my service desk. Someone actually asked me about how to take backups, selective backups of a specific project on cloud. Now I thought I'll probably talk about it because people usually ignore backups. Now if you're using Jira Server, then things are a bit different. But if you're using Jira Cloud, then you're using Jira or Atlassian's cloud. So you're basically using Jira on someone else's server, which is in this case, of course, Atlassian. So Atlassian, if you're using, let us say, a normal version of, let us say you're using either a free version or standard version, or maybe even a premium version. So you do have few things that you can do, few options or few things that you can do. For example, you can always, if you are, of course, the site admin, Jira admin, you can always take a backup of your entire Jira cloud instance. And if you go to the backup manager here, you can take a backup of this instance of Jira, and it will, of course, create one huge, depending upon the size of your instance, it will create a file with everything that your instance has. For example, it will have all the projects, all the issues, all the configurations, and this is actually fine because this will, of course, give you this ability to restore if you have to. But the problem is that if you restore using this backup, it's not a problem, but you should be aware of it. If you let us say you take a backup, right, of this cloud instance of Jira, and if you restore, it will actually restore each and everything. So there is usually a delta. For example, let us say if things go wrong. Imagine that you are a Jira administrator and someone tells you that, okay, I accidentally deleted 1000 issues in my project. And they will ask you, can you restore it? And of course, it is not really going to be straightforward thing to do because you may have a backup. First of all, you should have a backup because you can't really take a backup. This on server, there is an option to configure a service, which is, I believe, there already, to take regular backups. And you can also take a backup of your entire database or the file system, and you have full control over your server. So you can always, define maybe daily backups or maybe weekly backups, depending upon, whatever policy you may have, backup policy. But on cloud, number one, you should have a backup. Let us say if I take a backup right now, then till this point, there is a backup. But till this point, or maybe from today till maybe next week, when someone takes the next backup, you will, of course, have a lot of changes in between. So, so whenever someone asks you, can you restore? First of all, it is not straightforward. Second, there should be a backup from where you can restore. So imagine that you do have a backup file from where you can potentially restore. Then the option that you have is that you have to restore this cloud instance somewhere else, and then from somewhere else, that particular separate temp cloud instance will have that project, and then you have to worry about how to basically move that particular project or maybe selectively those issues back to your cloud instance, your original Jira cloud instance, your main Jira cloud instance. So it is not really straightforward, to be honest. And there are, I think, a couple of apps now, and I did check one of those apps, but it is not straightforward. It is not easy. There is no recycle bin for an issue when you talk about Jira Cloud, even Jira Server, to be honest. So what you can do is in these cases, so first of all, you have to make sure that not everyone has the right to delete an issue. And usually it is the case. I think only administrators of the project, they have the right to delete. But you can also maybe make it even more difficult for your administrators, because usually I've seen a lot of Jira Cloud, not Jira Cloud, but Jira instances where everyone is an admin, which is probably better than everyone having Jira admin rights, but still it is not good, right? So maybe create a separate role of people who only people who are added to that particular role can delete. So if I'm a project admin, then I can obviously delete an issue, but first I'll have to add myself to that additional delete user role, whatever role that you want to call it. So make it difficult for people to delete the issues, because when you delete an issue, it is basically gone, unless you find a way to restore it, which is again not straightforward anyways. And what you can also encourage your users to do is, if let us things go wrong, I mean, it should be like part of your education policy. Let us say when you have that situation, I think you should only delete an issue when there is a mistake. So otherwise don't do it. Otherwise just make changes to that same issue. And good thing about Jira is that you do have this history where you have things that you can track. There are things. There are other things that you can potentially do is which are of course not really massively useful in most of the cases, and that is maybe to take regular CSV export of your issues, which I know is not really ideal, but I mean, at least you have some storage or some information about those issues. I'm sure you cannot really expect your users to do it automatically, or basically tell them to take this export of all your issues every month or whatever. What you can do actually easily is use REST API to dump your issues somewhere, and this is I think something that you can control, because using Jira REST API you can definitely access your Jira issues and a lot of other things. Maybe just dump your issues somewhere automatically. Maybe run a script, maybe a cron script that will, I mean not cron script, but run a shell script using cron every day, and maybe dump your issues somewhere, maybe externally, maybe in a separate database somewhere, so that you have a way to restore. I think that is probably the best option that you may have, because if you have written this interface that can actually pull things from Jira, then maybe you can use the same interface to push back things to Jira. Of course, you can't restore Jira issues, but you can definitely create those issues again. And that is, of course, one thing that you can definitely do. So do it yourself, or maybe use an app. There are apps that can actually do something similar. Also, what I wanted to say is you should try to also make sure that there is some limitation, or there is some way. I mean, you should basically monitor the attachments, right? I think I made one video recently where you should, where I talked about keeping a track of your storage, because if you should definitely have like a very very strict limit on the files that people are uploading, the file size, and at the same time monitor it. I mean, do take a look at it regularly. And restore is definitely restoring selectively is a pain. I mean, it is definitely a painful thing to do, and in most cases you will just have to let it go. I've seen cases where someone has accidentally deleted some important issue in Jira, and there was a lot of noise, and when something is deleted that you shouldn't be that shouldn't be deleted, then of course apart from the noise, apart from everyone shouting about it, it will also waste time, right? It will also waste a lot of people's time to basically find what happened to that particular issue, who deleted it, and then you will have to maybe ask your Jira administrator to look at the log files, which again on cloud is a bit limited thing to do anyways. So when it comes to restoring, you should definitely take this backup. I mean, maybe every week, maybe just click on this particular button and make sure you have a backup that you can restore somewhere. But CSV option is of course not ideal, but it is very simple to do. And finally, of course, REST API, do it yourself. All right, that is all I wanted to talk about today in this not short 10-minute video. But I hope I've given you some ideas, some clues. All right, that is all. Bye bye.